Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to talk about Zegana in deck number 393. We got Zegana back. She's a speaker now. She's not the Prime Minister anymore. I don't know about the political situation on Ravnica. But I like the fact that she is 4 mana now. 4 mana, 4/4 commander does not seem bad with, you know, 3 lines of text on her. When she enters the battlefield, if you control another creature with a +1/+1 counter on it, you draw a card. Now, that's way powered down from the last iteration that we had. And then she's got 6 mana, adapt 4. So, more than likely, the turn after, since we have so much ramp in our format, the turn after we cast her, we can actually pump her up to an 8/8, which takes her into the 3-hit club. But then it says each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter has trample. Now this is some unique templating. Back in the day, they used to do templating like this, but nowadays you normally see other creatures you control. She actually, if she has been adapted, she gives herself trample, and I think that is on purpose. I think they did that deliberately so that she would give herself trample. I mean, at the point she's an 8/8, you've spent what, 10 mana? So yeah, you should probably have an 8/8 trample out of the deal. But how did I build her? The very first thing here is I want to trigger as many of these things as possible. Trigger's the wrong word. I want to take advantage of all 3 of her lines of text. And they all 3 have a +1 counter theme. So I went deep into the +1 counter. Let's get to it. First, let's get our mana fixing. Of course, you all know that we've got the Signet, the Cluestone, Key Rune, and now we have Locket. I put Sylvan Scrying in there because instead of like a rampant growth type thing, because it can go and get special lands that we need. I mean, we do have an 8/8 commander. Maybe we need the Rogue's Passage. I guess if I want to talk about it, I should show it, huh? Maybe we need the dual land or the Heart of Progress. So that's why I chose that one. Of course, we've got Job and the Elvish Mystic, Kodama's Reach. Now, Growth Spiral, I played in a draft the other day, and I was able to draft 3 of these. The reason why I drafted 3 of them was because I got no low curve Simic cards. They were all just expensive, and my early game was Growth Spiral, Growth Spiral, Growth Spiral. Needless to say, I didn't win that draft. But anyway, I like it. Draw, land, instant speed. And then there's this guy. I don't know why I like this card, but I do. I mean, 3 mana, this is kind of reminiscent back of, what is it, Findhorn Elder, who just he was 3 mana and gave you green. But this is a little better. Yeah, the mana cost a little different, but so let's get right down to it. As far as whoa, that foil is pivoted a little bit. This is, I felt like the card that we had to have in Zegana, simply because with this ability, now granted it taps to do it. That last ability, it taps. We're gonna focus on the last ability right now for Zegana. It does tap it, so you can't like just do it a whole bunch of times in one turn. I mean, I guess you could if you could untap the guy. Now, it does help Zegana, and it takes her activated ability of her adapt from 6 down to 4. So that's really neat. And then you can adapt her twice a turn. Now, I predict you're going to get that off exactly once before somebody kills this little familiar. Now, I like this familiar in a bunch of decks. Kind of makes me wish I had green in the Memnarch deck somehow. Because making Memnarch's activated abilities 2 less is ridiculous. I guess that's why it can't happen, Brad. But there's a ton of activated abilities out there. I don't know. Some part of me wants to animate a Staff of Domination. And, yeah. But anyway, he's good. I felt like we couldn't have the deck without him. Then, these are in no particular order, by the way. I love the ability to move around, +1 counters here. Yeah, we're not using the aura thing. Aquastrand Spider. The Graft, Evolve, all of those old Simic keywords all rotate around 1/1 counters. Now, this gives the ability to pass out reach to our entire team because, well, I say our entire team. Almost all of our creatures have some kind of +1 counter theme. The Hybrid, a bear with Adapt 4. I mean, it's not... it's a bear with Adapt 4. You know, I mean, it is what it is. But I like it. It fits the theme. Incubation Druid. Now, first off, this card, in the limited amount of packs I have opened, I've pulled 3 foils of this card. Wild. Anyway, taps for mana of any color that your lands could produce, which is obviously just going to be these 2. And if it's got a 1/1 counter on it, it turns into a Gilded Lotus. And for Gilded Lotus mana, you turn it into a 3/5 and activate that. Now, obviously, we have other ways to put the counter on there so we don't have to spend that 5 mana. Because it, you know, either way, this is a solid card. Good for the theme. I do believe that this is the deck that they wanted you to build. I mean, it just feels like that they pushed Zegana in this specific way. Shapers of Nature, adding and getting a benefit off of removing the counters. Plicaster Frogling. Can't just passes out Shroud to your team. That seems good for an uncommon. The Vegan Graph Mage. You get to untap a creature with a 1/1 counter on it. Okay, so here we go. We got to find a way to put a 1/1 counter on the Biomancer's Familiar and generate a ridiculous amount of blue mana. So that, yeah. Well, the thing about it is, all of these cards having so much synergy with 1/1 counters, it's almost impossible for me to tell you all the different lines of play here because there's going to be so much that just, oh, I can do this and I can do this. Renegade Crassus. Whoa. Now, granted, it's got to have a greater power or toughness, and this is a 3/2. We do have a tendency to have, smaller creatures. But, wow. That already has a counter on it. Fertilid. Now, there is some debate on this card. Number one, I like it because we have cards to put more counters on it in the deck, which is sweet, to help fish out the land if that's the situation that we're in, or to have another beater, or just in case somebody's got an ob on the table. Is it ob? The ob that deals 10 damage when target player searches a library? Because this is, to my knowledge, this is the only card, and I've mentioned this before, and we have, there have been some rules concerns over it, but this is the only card that forces a player to search their library. Now, they don't have to find anything. They can fail to find. But it does say target player searches his or her library. Anyway, Lore Scale Codal. Draw a card, put a counter on him. Hey, these are. I love cards that benefit you from just playing the game. Champion of Lamholt. Here again, just enters the battlefield. No conditions on how big or how. Just enters the battlefield. Sweet. Golgari Raiders. Yeah, it's kind of off theme in the fact that it's Golgari. But we got a lot of creatures. And I got a feeling some of them are going to die. Sharktoe Crab. Now this thing is this is a meme that's taken on its own life. R&D set out to make a card and they made a meme. Which, I love you, Mark Rosewater. Thank you. But 1/1 counters is put on this. Tap target creature and opponent control. What? With a Biomancer, this activates for green-blue. Sporeback Troll. Regenerated creature with a counter on it. The Guild Mage. Yeah, it's just going to enter with more, and then you can move, and yeah. Aeromunculus. Aeromunculus is not, this is, Air Force here. We don't have a lot of it, but it can totally get big. That's the idea. The Galloping Lizruck. Tried to use as many new cards from Allegiance as I could, Helium Squirter. This makes our entire team into an Air Force, or one at a time, obviously, but selectively, more than likely, our giant Zegana, we're going to be focusing on giving it flying. The Guardian. Now our team has Trample. Scuttlegator's just the big giant thing. I mean, yeah, it's a 6-mana blocker, but if you want to spend 14, you can have your 9/9. Here again, late game, looking to use the new cards. It's a Crab Turtle Crocodile. Novagent Sages. Now, I like that this is reactionary because as something is about to die, you can remove the counters. Because odds are you don't really want to remove the counters when it's being useful to you. The Basilisk. Whoa. Turn any of your creatures into a Basilisk. Cloudfin Raptors, as far as a 1-drop, I mean, we don't have a lot of them, but you really either want the Cloudfin Raptor or the Experiment 1 to do the thing. I guess we also have the new guy here. Filtering and whatnot. I am my life's work. Is that not one of the most epic lines you've ever heard in flavor text? Oh, no, just ever. I am my life's work. Aren't we all? Hydroid Crassus. Boy, this Joker has took off recently. Yeah. I don't really have to tell you this is good. I mean, it's flying, trampling, XX, or half X. No, it's XX, and then you just get bonuses off of casting it. And, yeah. Of course, Gilderbairn, Winged Codal, Cytospawn Shambler. Game, I was trying to use as many cards as I could to pass out abilities to the team to where they wouldn't be just ground pounder swinging into the red zone. They had some kind of evasion, some kind of, do I want to block them? Do I not want to, And then I run across Sapphire Drake. So I was like, you know what? I'll pay 6 mana for this particular 4/4 flyer. I sure enough will. Now let's look at cards that kind of deal with the +1/+1 counters. Now, Bred for the Hunt. Just about says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, draw a card. So that's pretty sweet. The new Biogenic Upgrade. Now, I'll admit, I was kind of... This is a prime example of read the whole card. Put 3+1/+1 counters among. Oh, we've already got, other cards that do this, and then double. What? Yeah, because I was thinking it was incremental growth. Now, Inspiring Savagery is also a good one. It's 5 and then 10. I don't anticipate we're really going to have mana issues with the deck. So, Bioshift is a good time to focus, actually. It's looking a little... Oh, there. I like that it's an instant, so you can, even if you're losing the creature, if they're targeting the creature, murdered, whatever, you're losing the creature, you can save the counters. And I think in this deck, the counters are probably more valuable than the creature they're on. We have Inspiring Call. Yeah. Love the fact that we have the instant speed. My team's indestructible. So, and not only that, you're drawing cards off of them too. Hindervines. One-sided fog. Okay. Down with it. Give and take. Here, I'm going to try to do it like this so we can see it. It hits the theme. Then, of course, y'all know we've got a Simic Ascendancy in there. Because if y'all saw yesterday, I'm not exactly certain when this video is going to go out. On my 100 Days of Magic, I went in depth on this card, so I won't here. But this is the promo version that you got for... I don't know. They've renamed all those things. I went to the local FLGS and drafted, and I got this. So that's how that happened. And now keep in mind, there are definite cards in here that would upgrade this. A doubling season would be absolutely amazing. Hardened Scales, the Contagion Engine, all of those things are amazing cards and fit the theme perfectly, but they're also amazing dollars that I just don't have to devote into Zegana. If I come across them, hey, perfect. But like Hardened Scales, I did not realize how many decks I have that need Hardened Scales. I could probably buy a dozen of them and then be gone instantly. So, yeah. But the Contagion Clasp is, I did wanted some kind of proliferate in there. And, it's uncommon. It's been reprinted in this dual deck thing. So let's look at our removal. I mean, I'm going to blow through this pretty quick because a lot of this is pretty standard stuff. I mean, Naturalize, Negate, Creeping Mold, Rapid Hybridization, Snake Form, Etherize. Now, I like Etherize. It's just about one of the perfect cards. It really is. And I'm not just saying that because, there's a blonde shooting blue magic out of her hand. But it's perfect. Yes, Cyclonic Rift is better. And there's a lot of cards that are better. But here's why I like Etherize personally. Is because the only thing it bounces are the attacking creatures. So it's only getting one player. And it's punishing that one player for being, in your opinion, a little too aggro. Or at least aggro towards you. You could actually, if you were like protecting your king, you could, protect your king and bounce it. But more than likely, you're doing this to save yourself the combat damage. We have an Essence Capture, which is, this is... It does only counter the creature spell. But... Whoa. Counter your spell. We're all playing with a creature, right? at least one, our commander, there's a small percentage of walkers. What is that? 5, 10, 11, 12. Mutants Prey. Now, here's the difference here. For 1 mana, at instant speed, you can have one of your +1 homies fight. But if to put the counter on it, it costs 3 more mana and a slower speed. You put the counter and then it fights. And then, of course, we have Titanic Brawl, which is somewhere in the middle. Now, our last 2 cards are, of course, Wilderness Reclamation, because we have all of those effects that require mana to use. So this way, we can cast spells on our turn and untap and still have the mana open to, say, give all +1 creatures indestructible, or give them flying if we need to block, or give them whatever. And Overrun. Because sometimes you just got to get in there. I mean, we are talking about a deck full of creatures that are doing nothing but getting bigger. So, that's why the Overrun's in there. Now, let's look at our non-basics. There's a pretty good chance y'all know there's Islands and Forest in the deck. The Guildgate, Thornwood Falls, Woodland Stream are all pretty well obvious in there, and y'all know me. The Evolving Wilds is in there. I realize it's just 2 colors, and we're a little skewed more on basics toward forest than we are islands, but we also don't have as many duals in enemy color as we do friendly color. Hence the reason the Evolving Wilds and Transguild Promenade and the Blighted Woodland. Now, RNA gave us a new printing of the shocks, so of course the breeding pool's in here. And our last card is, of course, Skyshroud Forest, back from Tempest. Now, I don't hate these. I used to. I'll be honest with you, because Tempest had 2 different cycles. They had the friendly cycle that kind of did one thing, and then the enemy cycle that punished you further. Because the enemy cycle, it comes into play tapped, and you take a damage for the colored mana. So, but in EDH, we're so hard up for blue-green duels that, Skyshroud Forest is, it's not unforgivable. Well, that is what I have got. I have, this is the second deck I've listed on deckstats.net, and I'll put the link in the show notes. I do appreciate y'all watching, and yeah, I think that's all I've got for Zegana. So, until next time, I think we will shuffle and cut.